What's the motherfucking deal, Sauce Nation? It's your boy Ed Honcho, aka at the real Ed Honcho on Instagram and Twitter. Or if you want those HTOWN only Sauce Sports takes, you can catch me on Twitter at Sauce Sports HTX. Give me a follow there, or you can give me a follow on one of the other ones. It's all Gucci. Now, if you don't know what Sauce Sports is, I don't know what rock you've been hiding under. But anyway, Sauce Sports is a Houston homer channel. So that means we only talk about Houston teams. So we're talking Texans, Astros, Dynamo, Rockets. We might even talk about the Dash. We talk about the Owls, the Cougs. We'll talk about Texas Southern. We talk about all this stuff. We talk about HTOWN, professional, amateur. If it could be semi-pro, it could be collegiate. It could be whatever it is. It could be an athlete who might have just stopped through town, and got down for just a day or two. We're going to talk about him. We're going to put some sauce on him, put some flavor on him. We're splashing everywhere. Anyway, like I said, this is a Sauce Sports special, okay? So we're going to talk about, as you can see, we are inside NRG, and that means we are talking about the Texans, okay? The Houston Texans, your Houston Texans. What's going on right now with the Houston Texans? We've had to do a little bit of house cleaning, had some few additions, nothing too major, no major shakeups. But we are dealing with one veteran issue, and that veteran issue is currently Mr. Dwayne Brown. So, we got a veteran camp coming up, well, it's the time of this recording, tomorrow, and he's been holding out. We don't know if he's still going to be a no-show or what. He's having a contract dispute, obviously having some issues with some guaranteed money. And everybody, you, me, everybody likes having guaranteed money. You feel me? So I can understand his beef with that situation. But as I spoke on before, as a fan, as a front office, as coach staff, everybody else sees it, hey man, you got to do what's best for the team. But I'm sure the other players back him and other things like that, because you know how grueling it can be, how tough it can be. And, after your career is done, you're not guaranteed the same quality of life and things like that. So I can understand, wanting to get your money. Ain't nothing wrong with that. I will never tell someone not to get their money. But what I will say is, as a fan who has concern for my team, as a fan who wants to see my team succeed, we need DB back in the mix. Why I say this is because there's a couple of things going on, especially with this quarterback transition situation, whatever you want to call it, you have going on, especially with Savage now taking the first team reps. He needs to understand what he has going on with Dwayne Brown as opposed to not with Dwayne Brown. So if Dwayne, I'm sure, plays a key factor, especially going against that number one defense every day, or soon to be every day, you want to know what kind of timing, what kind of what you have going on, like I say, back there as a quarterback. What kind of protection do I have? You have to get used to that and get adjusted to that, so as you know what you have going on with your team. But then, the linemen as themselves, they have to gel. You have some new pieces getting put in there, some guys who, were supposed to be, they may have had a little bit of time, but the continuity, it's like you got to be there. You got to be there to make that piece work. So that's also an issue. But then at the same time, that allows a lot of the younger guys, or guys who may not see as much time, get a lot of time, or get some more time, with some pieces shifting, seeing what other guys are able to do, what other guys are capable of doing, with Dwayne Brown not being there. So that's an opportunity for guys who may not usually get that opportunity. So there's pluses and minuses about Dwayne holding out. But like I say, to him, the biggest minus was, you after that cash, but they're going to start finding that ass if you don't show up to these mandatory camps. So, what I'm saying? Like I say, I want to see you get your money. I don't want to see you lose any money. I want to see my team, be the best team that they can be. But at the same time, there's recognizable issues that are at this point most likely a priority over Dwayne Brown, because Dwayne is an older player. I think, going into year 10, something like that, 9, 10, 10, I believe. And with Dwayne being an older guy, you have some younger guys that you need to shore up for the future. And you got to put some money towards them that are a priority. As we all know, Hopkins has to. We ain't gonna talk about that. Hopkins has to get paid. You got a couple other guys coming up in the future. You're gonna have Clowney coming up soon. You're gonna have other guys coming up soon that need to be addressed. So, and we're talking about for the long term of the franchise. So I don't know, man. That's a particular issue that's pretty strange. Then you kind of come into play. Does Bill O'Brien employ that Patriots mentality, like, hey, you know what? Team over player by any means necessary. Well, we're gonna go ahead without it. We're not gonna trip on any of that shit. We gonna just carry on, because that's how those guys do, and there's no way they're gonna put a player over the needs of the team, and that's a situation where it makes the most sense. You taking your emotions out of it, taking your heartfelt feelings for the players out of it. Hey, if you're not gonna do what's best for the team, you signed that deal when it was cool when you signed it, knowing what would happen, knowing what would happen, and now it's a problem. Now that it becomes this, now it's an issue. So, like I say, that there's several factors that you have to look at that come into play with this whole Dwayne Brown situation. And like I said, just updating on it and figuring out what's going to happen. So hopefully he does show up tomorrow. That's the best case scenario. He shows up and everything's all is well. And what happens? I think we had an issue. What was it doing? Set out a day, maybe something like that, just to prove a point that, hey, this is an issue to me. But he's set out the whole the whole voluntary. I'm sorry. And so, like I say, the little factors that come into play is like, do you hurt Savage? Do you help Savage by, hey, well, we got some younger guys that we finna get some experience and get used to. And, if he can learn to operate fluidly with these guys when Dwayne comes back, if he's in shape and everything else being said, that you automatically get that boost. You get an upgrade at that position. So then, I mean, I don't know. You have some things that, like I say, I want to ride with Dwayne on, but then as I say, when it comes down to it, it's really all about the team, because that's the name, that's who you cheer for. You're cheering for the Texans. I'm not cheering for the Dwayne Browns. I like to do it. I hope he gets his money. I hope everything gets resolved amicably. But it's the league. It's not for long. It doesn't always work out that way. So. I'm just saying I want to spill a little sauce on the situation and just talk about that real quick. What do you think about this? Do you think he's going to continue to hold out? Do you think he's going to show up? Do you think that affects his play? How do you feel? Do you think there's an underlying factor that may be besides, like, he's still supposed to get I think almost 10 million this year, something like that. So I know you don't want to miss that money. You don't want to miss actual money. In hopeful money. There's a phrase for that, a saying for that. I'm not going to use it on this, but there's a saying for that. You know what I'm saying? You don't want to be fucking over your for show trying to get some more, just to put it in a light term. But anyway, so I think you got to go over your for show money, and then you try to work that out, in the mix somehow, some way, and hope everything plays out. With that being said, man, like I say, I'm the boy Ed Hotcho, man. SauceNation. Let me know how y'all feel. How do y'all feel about the Dwayne Brown situation? Like I say, not much has necessarily been an update in the way of, from him holding out, but with it being mandatory, do you think he's going to hold out of the mandatory camps? Do you think this is going to be prolonged further in the training camp? I mean, so what do you guys actually think is going to happen with this? Do you think they're going to get a deal worked out, or do you not even care? Do you say move on? And let's see what the youth has. Let's go ahead and let's just make this a whole new thing. Let me know what you guys think, SauceNation. Like I say, this is about y'all. This is a commentary. I'm a fan talking to the fans, and like I say, just it's all about you guys. You know what I'm saying? So I hope everything is well with y'all. And I'm your boy Ed Honcho. SauceNation, y'all be cool. Deuce up. I'm out.